So I finally finished my backyard gazebo made for a grill. So this is going to be a little barbecue pavilion. And I'm not going to share with you how I built this beautiful structure because I got a kit and I'll post the link. It's called Backyard Discovery, the Saxony model. The instructions were amazing. It was really easy to do. All the holes were pre-drilled. What I want to talk to you today about is the base, and it really is all about the base. When you read the manufacturer's recommendations, they often say secure into a concrete slab with concrete anchors. Well, guess what? I live on a hill. I'm not going to spend $10,000 in excavation to put up a barbecue gazebo. So I had to have a workaround. And I thought a little deck would make sense, a floating deck. And this has been really awesome project, and it was not too hard to build. And it was pretty economical. And I'm going to share with you how I did that. So here are the dimensions for the pressure-treated base of my deck. The exact dimensions will simply be a function of the size of the barbecue gazebo you're going to build. The Saxony model that I built, this was a good size. Now, a couple things to remember. Deck boards are usually spaced about 1/4 inch apart. I also wanted about a 1-inch overhang of the deck boards over the trim. Trim material is usually about 3/4 inches thick. My deck boards were 5.5 inches wide, and I ended up needing 12 of them. And in the comment section, I list all the materials. So I start by just making a square, and I hold things in place with a finish nailer just to kind of give my hands a break from holding the beams together. So I basically just start by drilling a pilot hole, and then I like to drill a little recessed spot so my screw head fits in flush with the beam. So you can buy these little kits at Home Depot or Lowe's. Now I'm going to go ahead and put those Timberlok screws in. They're 4 inches long, right flush with the beam. And I'll tell you, this is what you're going to do all along for all the joists as well. So I'm not going to repeat showing this, but these screws are amazing, and this joint is super strong. I bought a bunch of the crushed stone from Home Depot and just laid the bags right on the spot where I'm going to build the deck. I recruited my son to help me out because my back is definitely like about 55 years old. Anyway, he was nice enough to help out, and we laid the stone. I got the antique stone to give it a good look. You'll see later that I didn't actually have enough stone, so I had to fill in the gaps with some more bags later. The deck is going to rest on 4 concrete squares, and you're going to want these level. So I just put these 2x4 beams on to confirm that everything was level before I brought the decking out. So now I needed to solicit one more of my sons to help, and we carried the rectangle base over and placed it right on those level cement squares. And if your calculations all measured up, those blocks will be in the right spot. If not, you got to start over again. I added 2 more of the rectangle concrete squares to receive the middle joist. The next step is just to tie in your joists. They're about 16 inches on center, and use the same exact technique that I used when I was making the original rectangle. I drill a pilot hole and recess hole so that the Timberlok screw will set flush on the face of the 2x6. This is to allow me to put my trim board on later. These Timberlok screws are just amazing. So there's probably a million ways to do this, but I really wanted a strong base to screw in my cedar post that came with the backyard gazebo. And I had this 4x4 beam laying around I wasn't using, so I cut these blocks and put them in the corner areas to allow a nice solid place to screw in those posts later. Next, I added a bunch more stone to fill in the missing areas. I also reinforced with another 2x6 the side of the decking. I wanted this to be a little bit stronger and wider to receive that cedar post from the kit. Okay, so we're getting ready to do our first board. This is the most important because if you screw this up, the whole thing is going to be messed up. So I based my calculations on wanting a 1-inch overhang after I put my trim board in, which is 3/4 inch. So therefore I'm going to have a 1 3/4 inch overhang to start with before I put my trim board on. So to make it simple, I cut a couple of these little blocks that were 1 3/4 inches in width and just finish nailed them to the edge so that I could just lay this board on. So I'm just gonna line it up. Okay, so where we're at, I've got all the outside boards just placed on. The only one that's temporarily secured is that first one, as I demonstrated, and that's only with 2 finish screws. So if I kind of messed up here, I could just easily pop those out. So I just laid these other boards in place and they all align pretty well. And so I did my measurements. I mean, there's like some subtle issues that hopefully I'm gonna fix a little bit when the wood kind of like shifts a little bit when I secure it, but I think it looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna start by just doing finish nailing around to kind of keep everything in place. Then I'm gonna come back in there with my deck screws. Yeah. And then of course, don't forget to pop out those spacers that help you lay those 4 boards with a 1.75 inch overhang. So we're gonna go ahead now and put our permanent deck screws in, and Trex recommends 16 inches spacing between the screws. And also I don't wanna like miss the joist. So I kind of measured the joist at about 3 inches from the inside here. And I marked that on this board here that I cut 16 inches long. So I'm just gonna basically line this up and put one every 16 inches. Okay, before we can lay our final deck boards vertically here, I need one more support joist on each end. Now, I could have just done this at the beginning and put one other joist here, but if you recall, I wanted these big blocks in there because I'm not exactly sure where I'm gonna have to secure the legs for my barbecue arbor. So I wanted to give myself like a big surface area to screw into. So all I have to do is tie this into this with a little piece of pressure treated wood, and I drilled a couple of these pilot holes using the Craig system. You should check out my other videos if you're interested. Super easy. So I'm just gonna like drop that in here right on the end. Kind of tap it in. Like such. And make it line up nice and flush. Like that. And I'm going to go ahead and just screw it right in. The other block. So let's get that secured in. So now hopefully is the easy part. We're going to put the vertical boards on, and I kind of want an 1/8 of an inch gap between the horizontal board here and the vertical board, and I'm going to do a 1/4 inch because that's kind of the manufacturing spec for this composite wood along the vertical boards. And these little blocks here, or these little wedge things, give you the exact thickness. And so I'm going to start kind of just making sure it's right in this side before I go down on the other side. So that's all pushed in nice and tight. And I have a little block here to tell me where half of the width of the board is because I want to put my screws right in the middle. So I'm just going to line that up like that and put a little mark right about where I want to go into the platform like that. And then that will be consistent all the way down, so it'll kind of look nice. There. Now my favorite part, the trim. Remember that the trim is about 3/4 inches thick, and I had a 1 3/4 inch overhang. So I finish nailed the trim, and then I have a 1 inch overhang, and it looks beautiful.